Is it possible that ultra-processed foods aren't the real villains behind our modern nutrition woes? For years, these foods, think chips, instant meals, sodas, packaged biscuits, have been cast as the main culprit in rising rates of obesity, dementia, and the so-called epidemic of food addiction. Critics say these items are engineered and marketed to hook us, boosting corporate profits at the expense of public health by hijacking our brain's most basic reward systems. That sparked a massive policy response. Warning labels slapped on snack packs, restrictions on junk food advertising, taxes on sodas, and even outright bans of these products close to schools. But here's the twist. How much of this urgency rests on robust scientific evidence and not just gut feeling? My colleagues and I decided to dig a little deeper. Instead of asking what makes food good or bad, we explored the real reasons people are drawn to certain foods in the first place, and why some can be so hard to resist once we start eating them. We ran surveys involving over 3,000 adults in the UK who rated more than 400 popular foods, from simple apples and jacket potatoes to beloved treats like custard creams, noodles, or cottage pie. What we uncovered might challenge some widespread beliefs, and here's the part that few people talk about. It's critical to untangle two concepts that often get muddled in nutrition debates: liking a food versus hedonic overeating. That's eating for pleasure, not just to satisfy hunger. Enjoying the taste of porridge, for example, rarely leads to binges, while foods like chocolate and ice cream commonly trigger both craving and overconsumption. For our research, we asked participants to look at pictures of these foods and rate them on how tasty they seemed and how likely each would make them eat beyond feeling full. We cross-referenced these reactions with the food's actual nutritional makeup: fat, sugar, fiber, calorie density. Their classification as ultra-processed by the widely referenced NOVA system, a method that sorts foods by the degree of manipulation, and people's own feelings about the food's qualities. Think sweet, fatty, processed, or healthy. As expected, people tended to enjoy foods they ate regularly, and those with more calories were more tempting to overeat. But here's where it gets controversial. Beliefs and perceptions played an outsized role. High-fat, high-carb foods were seen as tastier and more binge-worthy, while low-fiber, high-calorie picks had the same effect. More surprisingly, how people simply thought about the food mattered nearly as much as what was actually in it. If someone perceived a food as sweet, fatty, or highly processed, they were more likely to overeat it, even if the ingredients were no different from a plainer dish. Foods viewed as bitter or fiber-rich, on the other hand, suppressed overindulgence. In one analysis, blending nutrient stats with these impressions explained nearly 80% of the variation in overeating. 41% from the nutrients themselves, another 38% from personal beliefs and flavor perceptions. So, it's not just about what's on your plate or the label at the supermarket. What we think and how we feel about food shapes our eating choices just as much as any nutritional facts panel does. And this is where the UPF debate gets really interesting. Once we factored in nutrition and personal attitudes, labeling something as ultra-processed using the NOVA scale barely moved the needle. It predicted less than 2% of liking and just 4% of the drive to overeat. That's a tiny influence compared to all the other factors at play. Of course, that doesn't mean every UPF is harmless. Many are jam-packed with calories, low in fiber, and all too easy to plow through by the handful. But lumping all types of UPFs together ignores their huge diversity. Protein bars, fortified cereals, vegan meat alternatives. Some may be helpful, especially for people who struggle to eat enough or need convenient nutrition. Others, like sugary drinks, may pose real risks. Drawing a hard line and demonizing everything in the same category oversimplifies a complex issue. Let's face it, slapping scary warning labels on all ultra-processed foods or restricting their sale based purely on processing could even backfire. Imagine a shopper avoiding high-fiber breakfast cereals or nutrient-packed convenience foods, confused about what's truly healthy. The risk? Increased anxiety around food choices and less helpful guidance overall. So what's a smarter approach? We believe more people should learn what drives satisfaction with food, what triggers cravings, and how to spot their own risk factors for overeating. Encourage the food industry to create products that are both tasty and filling, rather than cycling between flavorless diet foods and hyper-palatable snacks. Recognize that food choices are about more than hunger. They're connected to comfort, social connection, and pleasure. Giving people healthier ways to meet these needs while still enjoying their meals could help break dependence on poor-quality snacks. Here's our bottom line. The debate over food processing often misses the bigger picture. Some ultra-processed foods are best consumed in moderation, yes, but calling the entire category unhealthy fails to address the real forces behind our eating patterns. The real drivers? The sensory appeal of food, its nutritional profile, and crucially, our own beliefs and feelings about what we choose to eat. Unpacking those factors is essential if we want to foster healthier, happier eating habits, not just stricter rules or more finger-pointing. And now we'd love your thoughts. Do you think policymakers are going too far with UPF warnings, or not far enough? Should personal perceptions matter more in nutrition guidance? Chime in below with your take. Are ultra-processed foods as bad as advertised, or do we need a more balanced view?